afternoon. My name is Scott Rutherford, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead.
观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎收看今天的直击美股，我是主持人张叔，在纽约向您问好。周一美股收高，我们看到今天包括银行板块以及材料板块是领涨市场，其中银行板块更是在加息预期的一个提振下呢，是上涨超过了1%。另外一方面，今天宏观经济数据有2个非常重要的数字值得您的参考。首先就是7月份的一个消费者花销是上涨了0.3%，是和预期保持持平。另外一个方面呢，就是美联储在加息的过程中很看重的一个通胀指标，就是 PCE 的核心物价指数是上涨了0.1%，而在过去的12个月内，这个指数呢也是上涨了1.6%。好的，更多的消息，不妨和我一块来看一下交易员今天的访谈。Hi Scott, U.S. stocks traded higher today, and actually I think investors are reassessing the Federal Reserve speeches. And today we see the market hold in this upper range. And do you think we can trust today's rally?
I think there were some signs that it can be trusted. I know on Friday there was a lot of erratic movement. People didn't know what to do. Can good news be good news? You know, can the market digest a quarter point, whether it's September or December? So I think some people brought some risk down earlier in that week. I know we talked about, bringing some risk down. If you look at the chart here, remember we talked about the S&P, how you had your V bottom, you had your breakout here. And then on this day, I do think some of us did bring down some risk, okay, because you had your small little double top, broke the 8-day. So if you brought some risk down around 2180, you weren't jumping out of your skin at 2160. But we did get a doji, which was indecision on Friday, and today we basically closed somewhat strong. So at this point, if you broaden out the range a little bit, you still have this whole upper channel that is intact with a lot of individual stock movement.
Last Friday, high beta names muted the weakness from the market, and actually today we saw some follow through. So can you introduce some names are actually in the play right now?
Well, that's kind of what gave traders a little bit of clues to be a bit risk on with the hedge. Okay. You had a doji in the S&P, but then you had high beta tech waking up. And that's healthy for the market. We've been talking about when can some of these stocks that reported good earnings wake up. So that was one reason why I bought Facebook, which the VTF saw on Friday. Bought it because why? Look at this 21-day moving average held, and then look how it closed on Friday. It closed on the highs while you just saw a doji in the S&P showing some relative strength, and now today, some follow through. I do have a little less than I had overnight, but you know what? Still looks like it's going to head back towards these highs. Amazon, also been quiet. Remember we talked about when could finally Amazon wake up? Well, if you take a closer look here of Amazon, okay, just to show the upper range, what does a wake-up bar look like? Well, here, it broke above this descending channel. Okay, remember the red dog reversal right here? When it took back the low, made a higher low, and then took it out, and then today kind of went back to highs and didn't have enough power, but it was a decent trade here. So you saw, Amazon, you saw Facebook, you saw, Baba, I think still looks good. Take a quick look at Baba, I think it's set up. Look how tight this chart is right now. Would I have liked to have seen it to act better today? Yes, but at this point, I think if you're long it versus this spot, you could be adding if it breaks above this 95.50 to then get some momentum to get back towards where it posted some data after the earnings.
Okay, bank sector actually leading the market and jumped like 1% higher. So do you think as we are going to see more like economic data and especially the job data this Friday, so what's your expectation for this sector?
Well, in the note, I talked about can Bank of America get to 16, and I put some areas where some bank stocks can go, and a lot of them at the targets already. So first things first, look at Bank of America. If you read my note, I talked about getting involved down here, okay, when it was below 15. Remember this tight pattern here? This was nice and tight. It broke above it, and then today hit as high as 16. So I think it could use a rest, but overall, you know what, who knows? Maybe we get a strong jobs report, and it can continue higher. I just wouldn't chase the banks. You want to chase them when they're tight. Okay, so here was when there was a nice setup to buy. Okay, Citigroup, I think, still has some room. Citigroup, gave a topping tail today, but I think at some point it could get up to close to, 50 and change. I'm actually in JP Morgan. I sold my Bank of America, and in this, because I do think that this has some room to get back towards the highs of last year. Okay, this hasn't done much since earnings. Nice gap up here. It's not really extended. First day above a prior week's high, so I think there's some room there. So as long as the banks hang in there, okay, and oil doesn't fall apart and tech remains strong. I think there's more to be constructive on versus faulty with.
Okay, and right now I think the opportunities are in individual stocks, and I think that like stock names such as ACIA, they give us a lot of good trades in the past several months. So how does the tape look right now for ACIA?
Oh, that's been a leader, and there's been some great chart patterns that are up there. It's been on my note since it was 40. Okay, and then on Friday, it also gave you some clues that maybe, risk is back on. This is when we started putting it on my note right back here. Okay, this was one breakout, boom, and then this was post earnings. So after this pullback, we wanted to see, can this area hold, and this 100 held, and this gave you some clues that even the strongest stock that is extended could be buyable. And look how it turned up on Friday and then had some follow through. So now I don't think you chase it right now to get back towards 120 plus, but it's good to see that even the best stock out there after a big move could be bought on dips, and keep looking for clues from the leadership names because they tell you whether or not the tape is constructive or faulty. And Friday, high beta tech and some of these IPOs that have been hot told us that, maybe you could be in some names with a hedge.
好的，感谢您的收看，我们明天再见。